the webinar online. Okay. We are live. Good.
Good luck.
I will start the recording then. Good luck.
And have fun. I'm really interested in this too. All right.
So I think she will get going. Welcome to our webinar on values-based innovative marketing for less known cultural tourism destinations. I'm Letizia Ciaccafava, and I'm the moderator for today. I work at Destination Makers as a destination marketing specialist. We would like to express our gratitude for our Be.Cultour partners who have made this webinar possible.
I think that someone...
Yes? Okay.
Oh, good. But perhaps put your screen into the presentation mode, so it's a bit bigger. Perfect.
So just a few seconds for some technical information. Please keep your microphone mute during this webinar. However, when you wish to talk during the dedicated Q&A section, please click the microphone icon to mute or unmute yourself. Please note that the webinar will be recorded. So feel free to keep your camera on or off. You're welcome to use chat box through the webinar, and the last 10 minutes will be dedicated to Q&A. Before we start, I would like to highlight that the project offers a series of interesting free webinars. And the next will be scheduled other 5 webinars during this year. And the next is planned on June, focused on community-led and innovative entrepreneurship for circular cultural tourism. For more information and registration, you can visit the website page dedicated. Be.Cultour is an Horizon 2020 funded research and innovation action by the European Commission, and Be.Cultour stands for Beyond Cultural Tourism. The overarching goal of Be.Cultour is to co-create and test sustainable human-centered innovations for circular cultural tourism through collaborative innovation networks and methodologies and improved investment strategies. Here we have our agenda. As you see, we have 2 guests today. With them, we will talk about the fascinating world of cultural tourism and the innovative marketing strategies that can drive it, such as and a very interesting case study about how an industrial area become a creative and green tourism destination, with the case of Kitchen in the rural area in Germany. Each one will share with us 25 minutes, and we have also a little break in the middle. And the session space for question and answer at the end. So you can hold your question till then, or you can write them in the box bottom of your screen. The first speaker is Emma Taveri. Emma Taveri is founder and chief visionary officer in Destination Makers. She is a business developer and destination marketing and management expert with international experience for travel brands. Just to name a few, TripAdvisor and TUI, with a strong passion for social impact. In 2014, she left her career in London to come back to Italy and founded Destination Makers. Since 2021, she has been the counselor for tourism, territorial marketing, creativity, and international cooperation of the city of Brindisi, Apulia region. With Emma, we will look at international examples of effective tourist promotion based on cultural and sustainability. The other speaker is Dirk Slaberski. Thank you very much, Dirk, for being here today. And is the tourism marketing manager of the city of Gelsenkirchen. He started his career in the field of tourism as a tour guide in the rural area, and about different topics like industrial culture and football culture. The transition from an industrial area into a modern and green society was one of his major topics. But I don't want to lose more time for the speakers. So Emma Taveri, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, Letizia, for this introduction. I'm very happy to be here because with Destination Makers and with Be.Cultour, we have been developing a new kind of culture across destination marketing, local development campaigns, and strategies that can improve the life of local communities and give new attention to new destinations in the world. I will proceed with sharing my slides. So if you can just confirm if you see them, okay. So as anticipated by Letizia, we are a small boutique company focused on destination development strategies and making destinations for good. Since 2014, we were working on different local projects to share with many Italian and European local communities the possibility that every destination can be a destination, even in less known places and in marginal areas. So we are a benefit company and we try to do everything at our best. And we are very passionate about working with places that need a bit of care and attention. When we work, we always start from the most recent trends. So even if we work in less known destinations, we like to analyze and study the market. So I'm gonna start my presentation by showing you the most recent international trends in the travel industry to be matched then with cultural and creative examples of how destinations are coping with change, coping with this very weird period, because everything is changing so fast. We were going through change periods, and there were many examples of how even marginal areas coped with new projects, new strategies, and new campaigns. So we are starting to see that transformative and meaningful travel are going to start a new era of of tourism. So people are not going on vacation. And they are starting not to go just for vacation, but also to travel for to discover new places, to start new experiences. And sustainability is considered a new luxury, and impact tourism is starting to be even more present in tour operators, in destinations, and also in new projects. Wellness is always is going to be matched more and more with well-being. So people are starting to search for places that are not just wellness places, but well-being places. So even also in the pandemics, they were starting to see, we were starting to see how nature-based places and places where people can disconnect and join a new kind of lifestyle were growing. And also many tour operators are starting to work and to focus on that direction. During the pandemics, we were also seeing how people started to moving and traveling, not only for vacation, but also to work and live in places. So even small villages were starting to see an increase of stays and visits from smart workers, digital nomads. So the trends of 2023, which are similar, obviously, to the 2022 trends, but are focusing more and more on a smaller, tinier border between tourism and local communities. And what we are seeing is that tourism is not a word that is going to be used so much by many destination strategies that are focusing on sustainability, culture and creativity, smart destinations that are suitable for all, not just for tourists, but first of all for the local community. As this project and moment is focused on cultural tourism, we always we need to start to understand how the cultural tourism world is moving. So obviously, people are, according to the data and analysis that you see here, are traveling for cultural heritage, but also they are starting to see in the cultural heritage a way of discovering new ways of living and visiting cultural heritage, because we are seeing more and more destinations that are working on creativity to be matched with the cultural heritage. We are talking about visual storytelling, about augmented reality, artificial intelligence, and this has to be matched, obviously, with people that are traveling for cultural purposes, but also they are starting to look for something new, something different. And this is a period in which we are seeing that after the pandemics, more and more people are traveling for cultural reasons, but also for creative reasons. And this has to be matched with experiential travel. These are data and analysis that are shared by Expedia, American Express, Skift, and Booking.com. So we matched in this presentation some data about how the travel industry is moving forward. And we are seeing that obviously the cultural immersion is very important. Entertainment and events and cultural events are motivations that lead the traveler to move to a destination, but also impact. So they are travelers are more and more focused on practicing and joining activities that are doing good for destinations. So as you were seeing before in the trends that I mentioned, impact travel, transformational travel, and also experiences that let the visitor live this kind of travel are searched more and more. And for this reason, people are going to look for the possibility to immerse in the local community, to be part of the local community, so a temporary resident, but not only for the length of the stay. They are really looking on how to be involved in the local community renaissance, or in what's happening and in what's going on in the local community, even with the willingness to to share skills with some territories that are in need of a new local community to share a new mission, a new change. For this reason, we think it's very, very important to think about our destination as a new why, so a new motivation to visit a territory compared to the past. And we think that every destination can have a role in the world. Even the less known and marginal destination can find a new why. This is a slide that we present very often, because we think that today it's not. I mean, obviously, we can invest a lot of money in advertising and in promotion by doing similar things to other destinations, but we can also focus on ideas, on creativity, on something new that can be a new why for which our destination can stand out in the crowd. For this reason, I'm going to show you some examples of marketing strategies and offers in Italian and international destinations that are doing well in this way. So from the point of view of creative destinations, I want to start from Favara, which is a very a small southern Italian town, which was a very difficult place, and today it's considered one of the most creative destinations in the world, because some years ago they started to focus on culture and creativity to create a new hub of cultural and creative industries. And since then, Favara was and is still a very difficult southern Italian town in Sicily, where mafia was in the past a very important problem. It still is, obviously, many southern Italian territories, but even in difficult places such like this, there can be a way to restart and focus on something new. And so in the center of Favara, some people, and then more and more people, started to create a creative hub, which today is considered the second destination in the Agrigento province in Sicily. And it's often combined with Agrigento, which is going to be the capital of culture. And so in Italy, there is this very interesting example of a capital of culture like Agrigento and a creative capital of culture, which is Favara, which is very close by. So this is very interesting, and it's a combination that I wanted to share because it shows actually the needed combination between culture, creativity, and innovation to stand out from the crowd. Another very interesting example of social impact, creativity and social impact in the cultural sector is the example of Naples. The catacombe of San Gennaro have always been a very interesting cultural heritage site, but in the most recent period, the catacombe are managed by a cooperative of young people and a community foundation that is not only showing you the catacombe, the heritage site, they are telling you the story behind what's happening in Rione La Sanità, which is the area in Naples that was a very, very dangerous and difficult place, but today it was considered by international media as one of the most interesting neighborhoods in the world. This was possible thanks to a creative process, participatory process with the local community, and a cooperative that today is managing it very well from a professional point of view, but also from an emotional and experiential point of view, because they tell you the story of the younger people working in this cooperative, and with from one side very important skills on the cultural heritage, but also the capacity to let the tour be emotional and involve the people in the storytelling and in the process of regeneration of this area. There are many examples of how regeneration and where a regeneration process were involved in the in a new future to be designed by local and international towns. And Margate was an example of this, from a degraded port to art and creativity. So this is another case of a destination that started to invest in creative processes, and 10 years ago, the city decided to have a strategy on this, and to start to build a creative neighborhood and to transform the port area into a hub of creative and design. Another example is the quarter of Folkestone in UK. It's another town that involved the creativity and innovation and art in its strategy. And this is another example of a huge quarter that started from scratch, from an area that became an area of creativity, innovation, and design of new projects to in that direction. In this way, we are seeing also that there are destinations like, for example, Oslo and other destinations in Northern Europe and in Southern Europe that are building and sharing new motivations to be visited. For example, there are some cities that are focusing their storytelling not only on the cultural heritage to be visited, but also on new buildings, new sustainable designs, new motivations, temporary spots or hub to be visited only in a period. So we are seeing that compared to the past, in which tourism was matched with sites that were not changing. Today, change is more and more inserted in the storytelling strategy of the destinations. Marsiglia is another very interesting example of a city that focused on urban regeneration to become European Capital of Culture and to create new attractive places from abandoned or neglected neighborhoods in town. And today it's considered, obviously, also due to the recognition, one of the most innovative and creative area in Europe. In this way, also art trails have been created, so to add art and creativity, like in Oregon, to the standard and classical visit of the destination. For example, in Oregon, there was it was created a public art trail, and this was inserted also in the main website of the destination and was inserted in the maps of the destination, so that also the information material did not just comprehend the classic map and the classic way to visit it, but also a new layer, new creative and cultural and artsy layer to visit the town. There are also examples, this is in Italy, in Santa Fiora in Tuscany, there are also examples of small villages that needed to find a new motivation, a new why, and the pandemics gave a huge push to these needs. So, for example, in Santa Fiora in Tuscany, they have created, the mayor decided to create, and I'm very happy because this happened during a conversation that we had during a project in Tuscany. We were talking about the pandemics and the smart working trend that was at the beginning at that period. And so he decided to focus Santa Fiora on smart working. So in these years, it's becoming more and more a smart working village, and they are building services, fast connection, and they are seeing that the village is more and more becoming, positioning itself as a smart working destination. Similar but not the same is Colletta di Castelbianco, which is a village that is going to be transformed day by day into a very high-tech village, and this was compared to Santa Fiora, which is a public initiative. Colletta di Castelbianco is more a private initiative that is seeing the village transforming into a hub of homes for digital nomads, and it's very high-tech, very connected. But these two examples show us how the public sector and the private sector are going to, are coping with change, are embracing change, and finding new strategies to attract visitors. Another interesting example focused on art creativity in a small village, in this case, is the Borgo Aielli in Abruzzo with the project Borgo Universo, Universe Village. And in the years, they invited many creative people, artists, by transforming the village, literally transforming the village in an open air art and creativity museum. So this is another example of how without investing a lot of budget in advertising and promotion, the promotion and the marketing can be in the strategy, can be in the idea, and in the purpose of, in the new purpose of the destination. Another very interesting example is the Basilica of Siponto in Italy, in which which was kind of here a cultural heritage site was kind of being reconstructed by an international artist, and today is one of the most visited sites in Italy. And this is a very interesting combination of design, creativity, art, and cultural heritage. So people are willing, obviously, to visit the cultural site, but also willing to see something new, something innovative. And the Basilica of Siponto in Puglia is a very interesting example of this, and also very concrete and demonstrated by numbers, by the increase of visitors in this destination. Another creative and artsy example of in this way is Artesella in Trentino. It was founded in 1986, and it's a land art project. So in this case, this area of Trentino in Italy was transformed in the years with many land artists to transform this area in sustainable and natural art trail in the mountains. And in this case as well, they were seeing the increase of visitors, obviously to visit the destination, but to visit the destination thanks to a new motivation, a new why. Interesting example is also this in Sicily, in southern Sicily, the Equi Museum of Five Senses. It was created by the willingness of a very strong woman that came back to Italy and involved the community. Now they created a cooperative, a city cooperative, in which everyone is involved to transform their artisan or their service they offer into an emotional experience for the visitor. So this is a very interesting example of how the local community and each of us can be a difference, can be the difference in the regeneration of the territory. So not only thinking about regeneration as urban regeneration, as big projects, but also how every one of us can be the different, even in smaller projects, in smaller areas, and in smaller initiatives. In hospitality, we have some examples that I want to share with you that are sustainable in nature and that are particularly innovative. Like this is an example of the Tree Hotel in Sweden. We also invited them at BTO, a conference in which we designed the destination program in Italy, which is the most important conference about innovation. And we invited them, they shared with us the process of creating something so surreal, so different in a less remote area, a less known and remote area in Sweden. So they built a sustainable hospitality concept in Sweden. And the funny thing, the very interesting thing actually, is that they did that in an area that is not connected with roads, transportations. It's very difficult to arrive there, but they have a percentage of occupation that is almost 90% with very high prices, and they managed to arrive there because of the creativity and the idea that they put into this project. So this shows how even in remote areas, in places that are not easy to reach, with an idea, with creativity and innovation, there can be success. Another interesting hospitality concept is Asmundo di Gisira in Catania, in Sicily. It's a small boutique cultural and creative hotel in the town center. It has, I think, about 15 rooms, and each room is designed by an artist and has a very specific concept about creativity. And today, this is a very famous and important place in Catania, because they put creativity in their strategy, in their hospitality concept. And if we manage to do this, we can also work on having a pricing strategy that is not focusing on competition with other hospitality competitors near us, but we have something that can be that can stand out of the crowd, and that can people and tourists, travelers choose our concept and not another hotel. This is an example in Slovenia. It's focusing on sustainability and sustainable design. Here also you can see the shape of the hospitality structure. It's designed to share the idea of sustainability, and Be.Hotel, this is the name, is designed to be different from other places, and according to some data released by the destination, these kind of concepts are more and more common in Slovenia, that is focusing a lot on sustainability. So also making sure that our business, our offer, our concept is aligned with the local, regional, and national strategy is something that is very important when we build something that is for sure creative, but that has to be connected with the strategies at the local, regional, national, and also international level, and with the trends. Regarding events, I think I don't have much time anymore, but I'm going to show you some events that were designed to create new motivations to visit some places even in off season. So events can be interesting ways to attract visitors in moments that are not the peak season. So if we can manage to create something creative that is positioned in some parts of the year that are not obviously the main seasonal moments for tourism, then, like in this example, the Festival of the Sea, the Seaside Revival, or some vintage festivals, and some very creative festivals, like, for example, showing music on boats, or very experiential activities, like the Seaside Revival Vintage Festival in Ireland, for example, with the Pirate Night. Or an example is the Marsala Kite Fest. This destination became a very well-known destination about sea sports and kite because of this festival. So many years ago, some sport addicted and some people that were passionate about the destination decided to create this event that in the year became an international event about kite. But it was not just creating an event to bring people in the destination in off-season periods. It became also a brand for the destination. So today Marsala is recognized as a destination that is focusing on sports events and kite. So it became a destination. So the brand of the destination started from an event, which is very interesting, because many times we first of all create the strategy and then we create the offer of the product. In this case, it was the opposite, and it can be the opposite in many cases. This is an example of a festival, a new kind of festival, which is called Bright Festival, and it's focusing on music, visual arts, and the connection between the two. It's a very immersive festival that is happening in Florence, but also in Germany. They are starting to share this concept in other destinations across Europe. And it's very interesting because it's a festival connecting different kind of arts and creating a very immersive experience for the visitor. So we are also seeing the rise of new and innovative festivals and events that can add to the destination, that innovation and creative added value focused on the future, not only on inside creativity and festivals. Another interesting example is La Luna ai Calanchi, which is an event, a festival that in the years brought many visitors and also many experts about the internal areas, and people that wrote books about the regeneration of marginal areas. So this is an example in southern Italy and in smaller, very small villages of how the resilience of the community and the construction of an event in the years created a very experiential event that was that today is recognized as one of the main event, bringing passionate people about sustainable tourism, responsible tourism to a very disconnected and marginal areas. I'm almost done, so I show you some creative campaigns that through ideas and disruptive concepts managed to focus the attention on some destinations, but also on some topics. So, for example, in the Faroe Island, some years ago, there was this campaign called Close for Maintenance. So they were researching volunteerists that were helping the destination for responsible tourism and for sustainable tourism. And so they launched this campaign by saying that they were closing the island, but they were open for volunteerists that had the willingness to care about the island. And this was a very successful campaign, which was focused not only on marketing for the Faroe Islands, but also on the importance of sustainability and care and responsible tourism. This is another very interesting idea and concept in Sambuca, a small village, but also it was then promoted by Airbnb, and it became a national format in Italy. It's a Casa a €1, which is home for €1. There are still many abandoned places in Italy and obviously abroad as well, but there are many places, small villages that are seeing people leaving, younger people leaving, and the local community decreasing. So for this reason, this was an idea that started in this village, Sambuca, where they launched a campaign called €1 Home. So you could buy a house for €1 and then move there and restore the building and then move there for a period. So this became very interesting in some places, less in other places, because obviously it's not just a marketing campaign, but it has to be promoted for sure, but also it has to be a process of integration of these people in the destination. And added to Sambuca, there is another village in Italy which is called Be.Cultour with a similar campaign like this, they managed to have many people from Argentina that decided to move there, because there is an international community of people from Vicari, from this village, that that left Italy and that moved to Argentina, and now they are coming back to stay there, to buy homes and to stay there. Another interesting creative campaign is Think Sustainably, Helsinki. They created a campaign focused on totally 100% sustainable experiences, and they also brought operators to be involved in this process. And Helsinki is a very interesting destination from a creative point of view, for the brand strategy, for the visual storytelling, and also for the focus that they have on special projects like this. Another interesting campaign, like the one of Sambuca that I was showing you before, is Wandergrottole with Airbnb. They launched the possibility to move to this village for a sabbatical, a kind of sabbatical in a smaller village, and they received almost, I think, 300,000 applications from all over the world. So it was very successful, because there are many people in this moment that are looking for disconnection from their ordinary life to move to other places. And then last, there is this campaign that we launched some years ago, Recharginator. This was a campaign about transformative travel and regeneration and disconnection after a very difficult period in the Dolomites, where a storm destroyed the landscape. So with the local community, we started to design a new campaign and invite people to help the destination. And this was a transformative travel concept, and also a very successful campaign that showed us how impact travel is going to change the way we travel. This was in 2019, but today more and more we are seeing that people are looking for something like this, and are looking for something that can bring and involve the people, like for example in Grottole, involve the people in a new kind of community. So communities are not local community and visitors, but we are seeing that more and more this can be matched and can be the same thing. And for this reason, the creativity that we bring in our strategies can also be interesting for new people to join our destinations and to live there. I hope I didn't take too much time, but I'm sure I did. But I hope you found these projects interesting, and for sure we can share the slides so you can go in depth, because I know I was very very fast. But my objective was to show you that from design, purpose, strategy, and marketing, there are many examples of destinations, even smaller destinations at the public and private level, that are doing well and are changing and being adaptive to change. So this is an example for everyone, and I hope inspiring for everyone as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Emma. Thank you very much for this interesting overview. And now I would like to give the floor to Dirk Slaversky. And with Dirk, we'll get to know the case study of Gerserkitchen. So Dirk Slaversky, apologize, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Letizia. Good afternoon. I will take a different approach because due to my very limited time, I only got a very basic presentation. But I will try to tell you about Gelsenkirchen. First of all, Gelsenkirchen is in the center of the Ruhr area. And the Ruhr area is a vast former industrial area, once the largest in Europe. Gelsenkirchen is surrounded by cities like Essen and Bochum, and Duisburg and Dortmund nearby as well. Back in 1960, almost 6 million citizens. But back then, you had hundreds of coal mines and steel mills and stuff like that. Due to the decline, 1960s, 70s, and 80s, when most of the mines and steel mills were shut down, there were many changes. Gelsenkirchen in 1960 had 390,000 citizens, and nowadays it's only just 260,000. So the transformation from heavy industries to the service industries and only minor industries caused a lot of damage to the society. Social issues particularly were a problem. And if you look to ideas of change, then during the late 1980s, early 1990s, there was a new idea to preserve industrial facilities as historic landmarks. That was not a new idea, but in the rural area, it was all new. And the IBA, the International Architecture Exhibition from 1989 to 1999 started the change. After the exhibition was finished in 2000, the root of industrial culture was established. And these were regional projects in the entire area. And even today, on one hand, we got regional projects, and on the other hand, local projects. That's something very special, because we still are an area of more than 5 million citizens entirely. And if you leave Gelsenkirchen, you enter the next city like Essen, and if there weren't street signs to show the city limits, you wouldn't see that you're getting from one city to the next. So that's very important to know. Yeah, on one hand, we're working on our own, and on the other hand, we got several projects. For example, the Ruhr Tourism Agency, you can say that's Regional Tourist Board. We're working with them very closely together. If you look at the city of Gelsenkirchen, I mentioned some of the locations here, like the Veltins Arena, which is really large, a capacity of more than 60,000, usually used for football matches. Then, when it was opened in 2001, it became one of the most modern football arenas in Europe. It was used on several occasions, like the World Cup 2006, and it will be used in 2024 again for the Euro with 4 matches. And if you look at concerts and events, that is for us the major part of tourism. We got the people visiting football matches or concerts. Last year, for example, we had Ed Sheeran and the Rolling Stones, and we got other smaller venues as well. For example, an open air theater in the Nordstern Park with a capacity of 6,000. Heiligkreuzkirche, that's a church turned into a place for concerts with around 700 capacity. And if you look to Kaur, that's a former industrial building as well, there you get around 500 capacity. So on different scales, we can offer places for events and concerts. Besides these concerts, of course, we got a very traditional kind of culture. For example, our opera house, Musiktheater im Revier, that's the official name, which is not only an opera house, they also play musicals, and inside you got art of Yves Klein and Jean Tinguely, for example. Particularly Yves Klein is a very important artist of the 1960s. Of course, we got a municipal museum with modern art, and then we got mostly kinetic art in that museum. If you look to sustainable tourism, then of course we got one major project, and that's Nordstern Park. It's named like the coal mine Nordstern. It was the most northern one in Germany. That's the reason for the name North Star. It was shut down in 1993. The initial idea was very simple. Let's demolish the whole thing and construct something new, but it was preserved as a historical landmark, and it was used to host the Federal Gardening Show of Germany in 1997. That was just the start. 1 year later, the park was opened as a regular one, and since then it's used for events. You will find playgrounds, hotels, offices. I already mentioned the outdoor arena, and so you get a huge variety in the park of users. Another important use is, you see in the image, a bicycle, and one of the regional projects is called Radrevier Ruhr. We get the connection of several 100 kilometers of cycle tracks, for example, next to rivers and canals. And as the Nordstern Park is directly between a river and a canal, you got the perfect situation that you can get there by bicycle easily. And on the other hand, these cycle tracks at the rivers are connected with former railroads, which were converted into cycle tracks. And so you can easily get to the neighbor cities like Bochum and Essen. And to explore an area by cycle is getting more and more interesting for the people. Once again, sustainability is the major topic there. To show you how many options we got in the Nordstern Park, next year during the Euro, it will feature the Fan Festival. We will host 4 matches, as I already said, and we hope to get interesting countries to show what we are able of. Besides this former coal mine, we got other industrial related usages of former industrial places. So former slag heaps were turned into landmarks, so you can attend them easily by bike. You can do hiking tours, and similar to the Radrevier Ruhr, where we do the marketing for the region for cycling. We hope that next year we can start with something similar and the topic hiking, but we will see if that's going to work. I already told you about the situation with the large neighbor cities. On one hand, we get a lot of synergies. For example, this coal mine, Nordstern, is only 5 kilometers distance from the World Heritage Zollverein, maybe the most famous coal mine, not only in Germany, but in Europe. And once they were working together, and actually you can use one of the old railroads to get from Nordstern to Zollverein, and in between you got one of the former slag heaps. So there's a high concentration of industrial culture where you got the combination of history, events, sustainability, and so on. Besides that, I already mentioned the stadium, And that's another part, definitely not only about green tourism, but as the football team Schalke is more famous than the city itself. Actually, if you mention Schalke to visitors, everybody says, I've heard about that, but Gelsenkirchen is not that well known. So it's sometimes difficult for us to make our point there. And we got tour operators and tour guides here in Gelsenkirchen. They tell the entire history of the city, and they combine the social history, the industrial history, the cultural history with the history of the club, which is an interesting approach. But it shows the importance of the football club to the city. Very interesting for visitors, for example, for the expeditive group, is a project. It's called Bochumer Straße. That's where the church is located, Heiligkreuz, with the concerts. They opened just 12 months ago. And that was a quarter of the city with huge social issues. But now it's getting visibly better every single month. For example, this project got a very interesting festival. They got a virtual reality and augmented reality festival called Places, taking place usually during spring or summer every year, with a lot of potential. And it's one of its kind. Of course, VR and AR are major topics of our day. But to do it in a festival form is really special. And so it's easy accessible, actually. When Emma told you about hospitality, that's something where we still got a lot of opportunities right now. And at the moment, we are doing we are trying to find a new tourism concept supported by a touristic service company, and we try and we want to bring together all the different options of tourism: sustainable tourism, industrial culture, regular culture, and so on. But actually for us, we got these international events where you get an audience from all over Europe, like the concerts in the Veltins Arena, and next year the Euro. So then we will have the stage to show what we got. My opinion is that the entire area to put on the stage with Essen and Oberhausen, the Gasometer, for example, is much easier. But unfortunately, in the rural area, you got the local tourist agencies in Essen and so on, and they try to make their point for their city only sometimes. So it's an interesting environment here for tourism. And actually, that's really important. 35 years ago, we weren't on the touristic map at all. Back in the 1980s, if you would have told a German citizen to spend a weekend to explore the rural area, they would have said it's just ridiculous. So there are a lot of cliches about the rural area. You still find people thinking about the rural area with stacks and polluted air everywhere, but that has turned. Like Willy Brandt, the chancellor, even before he became chancellor in 1992, said it must be mandatory that the blue skies above the River Ruhr are visible again. And as the image shows, it is possible again. We will see what the future brings. We are still a new touristic spot, actually. And I think that we will be successful, but it's not a 100-meter dash. It's a marathon, definitely. And yeah, whenever you got questions about the Ruhr area, particularly Gelsenkirchen, of course, feel free to contact me. And yeah, we'll have the Q&A sequence later. So maybe you ask then, and I hope that you got some questions.
Okay.
So, thank you for listening so far.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you, Sophia. And okay, now we let's start. We have a short break, so we can back just into 10 minutes. And if you have any question, please write them on the chat box. So at the end of this webinar, we can have the answer from Dirk or Emma. And so see you into 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's start to arrive back here. Okay. Hi Dirk, hi Emma. Welcome back. Okay. I think we get going. Okay. So, I would like to start with a reflection after these two interesting speakers that I want to thank you very much for being here. Be.Cultour. Okay. Be.Cultour aims to develop and experiment a completely different model of tourism, in which the destinations offer something more than a place to visit towards a transformative travel, including learning and education, diving deep into local cultural and heritage, as like many other examples that Emma have shown us and Dirk too. Emma, this question is for you. You presented cases in which this kind of value proposition already included a strong power. Is there still a need for tourism marketing?
Good question. Thank you, Letizia. Actually, as I was showing before, the border between tourism marketing and tourists and destinations and communities and local communities is kind of disappearing in more and more strategies that we are seeing. So, for example, the Copenhagen strategy is talking about marketing for citizens. So, what we were thinking in the past as a communication strategy for something from someone from other places coming to us, today is shifting towards marketing for citizens, temporary residents, smart workers, people that are visiting for just one day. There are services that are both for visitors and for the local community. So, for example, the connection, the internet connection, it can be a service, an offer for the nomad worker, but also for the citizen, and also the communication, the events, for example. Events today can be communicated in a strategy that is for the visitor and for the local, can be communicated in the same destination website. In the past, there were informations for locals and informations for visitors. And so also in marketing tools, for example, the website and social media, we are seeing more and more the combination between the two. Because in some destinations, there is an increase of temporary residents and digital nomads and people that are staying there for a period. And for these kind of people, I make the example of Brindisi, which is my hometown. We are focusing on digital nomads a lot, temporary residents, and we also host in our town a very important expats community, an international community that is working for the UN logistics base, which is one of the most important peacekeeping base in the world, which is in Brindisi. So we have a community today that is composed by, obviously, the locals, the expats, so the international community working for the UN base, and also increasing digital nomads that are choosing our destination, also added to the normal visitor and tourists. But there are strategies like, for example, Copenhagen, but also other strategies that are considering a whole group of people and is not differentiating anymore the communication between the tourist, which is a word that I don't like to use so much anymore, and the traveler and the local community. So it's a good question. And it's also a question related to the need of a new destination website or tourism website, which is also another thing that every destination marketer or everyone working in the destination starts to do. So we also have to think if considering all the tools that we already have, so Google, for example, and all the information databases and so many contents already created by people, if we still need a channel that is communicating only to tourists, or if we can do a patchwork of all this information and create a whole communication strategy and tool for everyone, like we are seeing in some cases.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it's a very important question, and today
long answer actually, which needs much time.
We talk about how important it is to involve local communities in the process of territorial innovation and transformation. Dirk, this question is for you. What were some of the challenges faced during the transformation process, and how have local communities and stakeholders been involved in this transformation?
Yeah, one of the major problems actually was in the beginning that most of oh, sorry, I got some connection issues here.
Dirk,
Okay.
yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Because the screen was frozen for a second or two. Yeah, actually, in the beginning, the community really didn't accept that the working places were gone and were becoming museums. On one hand. On the other hand, you had very enthusiastic former coal miners and steel workers, and some of them are still tour guides, for example. But a lot of people during the 1980s said, yeah, but a museum doesn't provide work for us. And that, of course, was true. And a lot of people moved away to work somewhere else. I told you 390,000, 260,000. That's yeah, quite a decrease. So we could solve that problem partly. A lot of people here in the rural area are very proud that there were heritages and to show how people worked here. And actually for Germany, these heavy industry facilities were very important. So the wealth of Germany is, well, partly depending, or particularly in the beginning, 1950s, 1960s, depending on the heavy industries. All that pride of the workers is related to that Wirtschaftswunder. But you still find people who say, it's not necessary to invest so much money in such places. But we are still trying to redevelop partly. For example, Nordstern Park will host the International Gardening Show in 2027. So the motto will be, how will we live in the future? So that's not just a regular gardening show. It's more than that. It want to show options for the future. And here in the rural area, during the past decade, we had a lot of fugitives from Syria, for example, on one hand, and on the other hand, a lot of immigrants from Southeastern Europe. And we do have immigrants here since the late 1950s from Portugal, Spain, Turkey, and Italy, of course. But they were asked to work here. So different situation. And nowadays, with the new immigrants and not needing such a huge workforce anymore, like back in the days, there's a lot of controversy about that. And a lot of people are displeased with the situation because for the social community, it is not easy to integrate 10,000 people from Syria and 10,000 people from Southeastern Europe. So it's not a direct connection to tourism, but of course, if you get a displeased community, you're in trouble, because the community still is your major guerrilla marketing. Let's put it this way, because if Germans like to travel, and if they go to foreign places and tell everybody, you must see our area, that's worth a lot. But if people travel somewhere else and tell the people no, or maybe they tell you, yeah, you can get here to watch a football match, but on the other hand, if you talk to people, they say, well, it was better 15, 20 years ago. So that's a difficult, really, really difficult situation sometimes.
Yeah, thank you very much. And now we have a lot of questions. So, Dirk, I have some questions for you, and I'm going to read someone, okay? Okay. A question for Dirk from Antonia Gravagnuolo. Hi, Antonia. Do you think that your model experience is replicable? And if yes, which should be the key aspects to focus on in other areas with similar characteristics?
Yeah, actually, I think it's replicable. Actually, the administration of Gelsenkirchen just started a cooperation with the Ukrainian city, the community of Kremenchuk. We just had the first talks, and there we got some similar structures. And the key aspect, I think, is that the community is involved. So if you get a former industrial facility, that you get in touch with the former workers, because they got valuable knowledge, and they identify very often with the spots. And I think that's some of the key aspects. Of course, there's a financial aspect, reconstructing and refurbishing these former industrial buildings when they were used, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9 decades. That's definitely not cheap. So I think these are the key aspects, definitely, if you replicate it.
Thank you. Another question. Okay, Antonia say thank you, Dirk.
You're welcome.
So, Laura asks, I would be curious to hear if the speakers have any experience with cultural tourism related to the traditional and complementary healthing practices. I think healthing, Laura. As Emma mentioned, tourism related to wellness and well-being.
Healthing in the means well-being in this way.
Healing practices.
Healing.
Healing
Okay.
or to cure.
If you're meaning healing like well-being, then yes, and it's the case of recharging nature, but I'm not sure if this is the question, because in our I mean in my presentation in our project we consider nature, and we consider nature, this connection and the connection with nature and with the local community as a healing and transformative travel experience, but I'm not sure this is the question. If you can maybe be more specific, then I can try to answer the question. Traditional healing techniques.
I can say no.
Not sure, because, for example, recharging nature in the Dolomites, there the 10 participants that won the experience, they did mindfulness, stone balancing activities, reconnection with nature. They really had a very important path of regeneration with psychological help. So it was not only a marketing campaign, but these people, they really experienced that. So I'm not sure if this is the right answer. It's a very interesting question, because as I was showing before, people are looking for transformative travel and healing experience that can also be connected with their passions. So we are seeing more and more experiences that are being built around that. So, for example, around traditional artisanship weeks or sport weeks that are connected to sustainable tourism. So it's somehow healing, but it really depends on the way you consider healing. But in the case of the Dolomites, it was a really healing experience in nature. Thank you. I'm happy I answered the question. Thank you.
I would, Antonia asks, I would ask Emma if you think that remote working in villages could be complementary to other works such as production, landscape maintenance, wellness, etc. Could remote workers eventually be interested in differentiating their working time, introducing other kind of activities, not only computer work?
Yes, it is a very good question, and I really think it's something that can be useful for the villages and the communities. I think we are seeing a lot of marketing around this topic, and I don't think that smart working or remote working can be a solution for every place. Even if I think that with a good strategy and a good process and a good engagement of the community, attracting people and temporary residents can be a way for some places. But obviously connection is very important, and also the possibility to join the local community, to be involved in other activities is very important. As I was showing with the Dolomites campaign, these people came to the Dolomites, but they also helped the local community after a very difficult moment. So this was a very short example and experience, but for people that decide to move to a village, for example, and stay there for months, it's very important to understand and to join the local community. Like, for example, the Five Senses Eco-Museum in Sciacca. If you move there, then you can do these kind of things in your extra work time. And in Brindisi, for example, we are trying to promote some sea sport related activities as ways to improve productivity. So you come to stay there, to stay here, to work in work times, but then you have a set of experiences that are available for you to regenerate your soul and to do something that improves your work productivity. And if these activities are well promoted, well communicated, then it's also always, it's obviously easier for the remote worker and digital nomad to choose one place and not another. We often think that it's sufficient to promote a village as a smart destination village. But, and Santa Fiora, the example that I was showing before, is very interesting. You have to build a process in which people can come there to work and have a good connection, but also do many other activities. Because if you are a nomad, a digital nomad or a remote worker, then I think you have a lot of interests. If you are traveling the world and living in different places, then you have a lot of interests, you're curious, you want to do something that is not only being alone and work in your home office. So it's a very good question, and it's very good to build activities and communication for these temporary residents.
Thank you, Emma. And I think the last, because the time is over, there's a question for Dirk. Dirk, do you think, from Christina, Dirk, do you think that the rural area is becoming more attractive, not only for tourists, but also for residents as a transformative area, not linked to the industry?
Yeah, actually, if we talk about the entire area, then you got parts that are very attractive, particularly the southern parts located at the River Ruhr. But I already told you that the community in Gelsenkirchen is displeased with some of the developments of the past decade. So we have to solve a lot of problems, but that's actually not a touristic issue right now. That has to be solved by the administration, and not only the local administration, but the regional and the federal as well. So I think if you're looking for something special, not Munich, Berlin, or Hamburg, but the rural area, here you got a lot of opportunities, but we still got to deal with the cliches and the issues I already mentioned several times. But if you're curious and if you don't want to go where everybody goes, this is the place.
Okay, thank you very much. And Christina said very clear, thanks.
You're welcome.
So our time is up. And I want to thank you everybody who joined today. And we hope to see all of you again on June for the next webinar. And a big thanks to Emma Taveri and Dirk Slaversky for being the speaker today. And thank you very much to the partner of Be.Cultour project and for the assistance for the organization, the webinars. And see you on June. And goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Dirk, thank you